Welcome to The Corner, La Source's digital show dedicated to the sport and entertainment industry. Every 2 weeks, we invite a professional to share their experience, background, and challenges. The sport industry moves fast, and having their insights is the best way to keep up to speed. Welcome to The Corner.
Hi everyone, welcome to Le Corner, a new episode. And today we have two different people. We have Bjerga and Sophie Offord. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, super well. How are you guys?
Fine too. And we have JB with me today to speak, not just with a French accent, but to speak a little bit more English with me.
David will be perfect.
We will see. So just to start, maybe Sophie, can you introduce yourself first, Ida, maybe, just to learn more about your background and what you're doing today?
Yeah. So my name is Ida. I am based in Copenhagen in Denmark. I am the co-founder and managing director of Noise Studio and also the co-founder of Nordic Sport Tech. Just a little bit of my background. I actually have a master in applied economics and finance, but I've been mainly working in the digital and tech sector. I've been consulting startups, brands, and companies, and everything on concept, digital product strategy, and design since the beginning of my career. Besides that, I'm a super classical Norwegian. I love the outdoors. I love hiking. I ski. I surf. I kite surf. Just want to be in the nature and hug trees when I can.
I think that's in the DNA of your company, actually. But we will speak about that after. I'm pretty sure about that. Yeah. And you didn't speak about your passion for traveling. I think you traveled a lot.
Yeah. I was based in. I've been living outside Norway for the last 15 years. The last years I've been based in Argentina, Brazil, and California, mainly working on the Latin American and North American tech sector. And besides that, I've been doing a ski season, Chamonix, a kite surfing season in Dominican Republic. I've been doing a lot of surf seasons in Sri Lanka and Costa Rica.
It sounds amazing. Yeah. Just love your life.
Yeah. It's been fun. Now I'm stuck in Copenhagen. Looking back at my life, it feels more like a dream. I don't believe it was me because now I just sit here in this rainy city. But yeah, definitely I'm more jealous of Sophie, actually. Sophie is still living the dream.
Yeah, maybe I'm living the dream. Hi, I'm Sophie, and I am currently based in the French Alps in the Port du Soleil in a ski resort called Morzine. We have had a white season here this season, or saison blanche, they say in French. So the ski lifts have not been running, so I have been doing a lot of ski touring and walking up the mountains, which has been super interesting. But yeah, so my background is in skiing. I've skied from a young age, and I dabbled in freestyle and ski racing competitions. So I always knew I wanted to be involved in the action sports industry. So after university, I got a job at Monster Energy, working in their marketing department, doing action sports and motorsports events and marketing projects. And then from there, I moved back out to the Alps and started working as the global head of marketing at a ski company called Planks, which involved working on some incredible projects, working with some really cool athletes. The outdoors has always really been a passion of mine. And they say, if you work in your passion, then you won't work a day in your life. So hoping to carry on with that at Noise.
Cool. So for you, in fact, Sophie, it was really a target to work in the sport industry. Ida, if I'm not wrong, you didn't start to work in the sport industry at the beginning of your career. What brought you into this sector, actually?
And actually, if I can ask, you mentioned economics and finance, which is quite unusual in terms of university background.
Yeah, I think I've always been quite nerdy on the mathematics. So I always been an A student and everything maths. And One of my friends told me if I wanted to continue to travel the world and just do what I wanted to do, it was a good idea to get a business education, because then you could live abroad and study abroad and work abroad. So she tricked me into business, and then I just have a flair for numbers. So I wanted to take the most difficult master there was, and that was finance. So it's not a traditional background, but that's how I ended up with a finance degree, and it did pretty well. But after graduating, I figured out finance, investment banking is not for me. So I went straight into the tech industry, moved to Buenos Aires, worked, because Buenos Aires is like the Silicon Valley of Latin America. So I worked for a large agency down there on everything, strategy, design, and technology. And that's where I became super interested in digital and tech. That agency worked with all the verticals, everything from finance tech, which I tend to get. My boss would give me the finance clients. I would get health tech, e-commerce, and then once in a while, a sport tech clients. And I really noticed it was the sport tech people that I connected with. I think their projects were more fun. I just felt they were more relaxed. There was a stronger passion behind the sport tech collaborations. And that's where I just realized what I wanted to work with. And at the same agency, I became super good friends with my two current co-founders. One of them is a big surfy, and he had a skateboard company on the side as well. And the other guy is an Argentinian rugby and football player, a strong passion for that, for everything football. And the three of us had the same dream. We just wanted to work with sport and outdoors. We thought those brands were fun. We felt that's where we had the most fun in our old agency. So we left that and started Noise together.
But I guess your background is quite useful, in fact, to speak about investment, to speak with different startup, with different goals, in fact, to achieve depending on their maturity and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think also we're going to come into it a little bit later, but we do at Noise, we do a lot of we do three different things. We do strategy, and then we do brand, and then we do UX and UI. So we mainly put together our teams to have different heads in the different teams and the different projects. And I tend to support on a lot of the business or growth or research or strategy, because that's really my strong side. And Sophie, for example, is one of our strategists. So she works on a lot of the concepts and the creative thinkings. And then we have designers and UX UI designers or brand designers. But we definitely put a lot of importance on the strategy behind or the business behind your company before you go into, for example, coding or app development or
And so you have three co-founders at Noise, if I understand well, or not?
Yes. So it's me. I am the managing director with my business background. And then I have two design co-founders. We have Santiago, which is the design director, expert in UX UI. And then we have Felipe, which is the creative director, and he's more of an arty guy. I'm much more into video concept, photography, illustrations, much more an arty head.
Cool. And you, Sophie, what motivates you to join IDA, actually, to join this great adventure?
How did I trick you in, Sophie?
Yeah, actually, it was a friend of mine kind of introduced me to Noise, and I think the designs that they were doing and the stuff I was seeing that was coming out of Noise was super interesting and super arresting and quite different to what I'd seen in the sports, the outdoors, and the sport tech industry. But I think most of all, I met Ida and the co-founders, and they were just an awesome bunch of people. Every day working at Noise is a really good laugh, and everyone's down to earth. And I think we all connect over sport and our passions and the sports that we do and the projects that we work on. So just an amazing group of people doing something a bit different, I think, within the industry.
So you don't really feel that you're working. That's what you're saying. You're part of a family, community, and you just enjoy every day, and that's it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really know why he is paying me, to be honest.
We don't. No, we just really feel like a group of friends. We are. Some of us never met each other in real life because we're 100% remote, and we really me and Sophie actually never met, but we really feel like we're just a good bunch of friends. Want to hang out.
Cool. Just for our listeners, when was Noise created? We
were founded in European summer 2018. So we have our 3-year birthday coming up in 2 months. And they say if you make it to 3 years, it's like a 3-year crisis, and then the next crisis is 7 years. So we're just like 3 more months and we're safe for another few years.
Good one.
Okay, thanks a lot, JB, for that, because you spoke a little bit about the beginning of Noise. Can you tell us like more about like the journey, like what you did during like these first 3 years?
Yeah, I think the first 2 years we were kind of it's such a bad journey. The first 2 years we were kind of getting started, traveling a lot. We did a lot.
Why bad journey? You were just creative. Why bad journey?
We were just a little bit. We were just having a fun creating the company, being the 3 of us, really working with just a few, like one project at the time. And doing a lot of surf seasons on the side. So one of us was based in Bali, the other one was based in Sri Lanka, and it was a lot of work-life balance. And then I think COVID happened, and we were all sent home, and we got sent home from our like destinations, and we really started to wrap up the studio a little bit more. So the last year we've been experiencing a lot of growth, and we became very professional and doing a lot of like fun projects at the same time. So the first 2 years, it was more like relaxed and just the 3 of us doing projects. And today we're a team of 10. A lot of athletes and outdoor enthusiasts, still all over the world, still in like our sport destinations, but working a little bit harder.
So the pandemic was really the pivot year in terms of like making you a bit more mature or a bit more professional. Yes. I don't know. Okay.
I think we were always professional. We were just more concerned about the work-life balance, and we still have the work-life balance, but working hard on the side. But yeah, so we're 10 today. We're 100% remote. We have people based where their sports are. So we have like one surfer in Bali, one in Sydney. We have Sophie in the French Alps. I'm stranded in Copenhagen. We have a yogi, which is in London. So I think, the last year has been a lot of fun and a lot of development.
Pretty sure about that. Can you tell us more like about like what kind of project you led during this great first 3 years, not the bad journey?
I will hand this to Sophie to tell you a little bit more about what Noise Studio is all about and what we're focused on today.
Yeah, like as you just said, because we're kind of a bunch of sporties, we really connect with like the clients that are also in the sport industry. Or I feel like at Noise, there's always one person that's done the sport that we're kind of working on, so we kind of like make that connection there. But I think we always try and work with ambitious sports and outdoor brands or companies that are going into a stage of rapid growth or like an investment round or major change within the company. And that's where like we can come in and really help. And I think that's where we can make the biggest difference, or that we can make the biggest difference. That's really exciting. So yeah, we have like partners in maybe 25 locations now all over the world, in like mainly sports, outdoors, fitness, nature, sustainability. And we always kind of try and blend our passions and like our main interest, which is brand and design, with digital and the outdoors. So we're only ever really working with people that inspire us.
And is it solely startups or is it more brands? Because I remember when you presented yourself, you said Monster. I mean, is it more brands in the outdoor that you are helping, or is it kind of a 50-50, or is it also public authorities? I mean, I don't know if you're working potentially with ski resorts managed by public authorities, or I don't know.
We do a little bit of both. We started out working a lot with entrepreneurs and startups. Today our main focus is still startups, but maybe after their first investment round, and small, medium sized. So one of our biggest clients, I think, have 350 employees. So it's still like on the small, medium size. We also do a lot of passion projects. We work for NGOs. So we try to give back to the industry by working on like sustainable production of outdoor equipment, or we worked with Nomad Surfing to do a marketing campaign to put focus on the importance of sustainable production in the surf industry. So we try to give back to the industry and to give back to nature and to give back to our playgrounds by doing a few projects per year dedicated to nature, sports, and the outdoors. So instead of giving like a little bit of our profit to 1% for nature, we try to give a little bit of our design or a little bit of our hours to help support good causes in this industry. Our main partners is like founders, startups, entrepreneurs, small, medium-sized companies, and also kind of like NGOs or like companies for good. That's where we help out.
And when you say, I remember you had different verticals, but what do you do for them? Is it because you mentioned a lot about the design and, we love the nature, we love the sports, we do the sports. And do you put a design or do you create stories around those, or what's the value proposition you have? You told me, or you told us at the beginning, like there's also the finance, the strategy. So if you have to guide us through the root of noise in terms of if we are a startup or SME or even a client of yours, what do you bring on the table?
Yeah, so our main focus at Noise is brand and then UX and UI. So we kind of have two departments. So on the brand side of things, we are involved in a wide range of collaborations, from brand development, strategy, communication strategy, your typical design process like logo design, name creation, art direction, color palette. But then we also do like art direction for photography and video as well. And then on the UX and UI side, we work with clients on discovery, concept, digital strategy, fresh designs. Maybe they have an existing app and we bring a fresh kind of UI design to the app, or build in new features or elements into an app or a landing page on the UX and UI side. So yeah, it really depends on the project and the client and what their needs are and what their goals are as to how we kind of, I say, attack the project or the problem that we're trying to solve. We don't really have like very strict processes at Noise. It really depends on what project we're working on and what the client wants.
But it will be like more one-off project rather than like a long-term relationship in terms of strategy, or do you have like
we do both actually,
different kind of project?
Yeah, Eden, maybe you can expand on that a little bit, because we do both, don't we?
Yeah, we do everything from like a smaller 6 weeks collaboration on like a specific marketing campaign or a brand development to like long-term yearly collaborations. So I think two of our most famous clients are Uplift and Onyx out of California. They're both, one of them is a remote coaching platform. The other one is a digital fitness application just bought by Cure Fit. And both of them, we've been ongoing partner for, I think it's 1.5 and 2 years. Starting out with a small collaboration on maybe the visual identity, but then going into being like a full-on creative partner on everything brand, everything UX, UI, everything video production. So it tends to, but we also have like one of our main missions is to, people like to work with people they like, and we feel it's from the both sides. So a lot of the collaborations we go into, we become very friendly with our partners, and we become very supportive of their mission and what they're doing. Also, as Sophie said, like we work with ambitious companies in rapid growth or major change. So we really want to be part of this rapid growth. Become very friendly, and we don't want them to leave us, and they don't want to leave us. So it tends to go into like a long-term relationship on a very friendly basis. We're very informal in the company, if you don't know this.
And what are the next step for Noise Studio? Like, I think like we are seeing like the end of the pandemic, or I hope we are seeing that. What are the next step for you? Like, do you want to still like grow like all around the world, travel again? Do you have like new project in mind?
Like for the studio, we always want to be a tight group of like a tight little team. We never want to be more than 15, I think. So today we're 10. So we don't have any big growth plans. We just want to continue doing what we're doing. We want to work with sport and outdoor brands and companies, and hopefully we can do. We really dream of doing like a big branding project, or we are in conversations about putting more focus on sustainable travel to sport destinations. We hope we can work with some NGOs or put more focus on sustainability and nature and the importance of our playgrounds. So we just actually want to continue doing what we're doing for a long time.
And maybe when we can travel, we could do a group surf trip.
Yeah, we're going to do a nice retreat in Bali, we hope. But then Bali needs to open so we can all surf.
Everything is recorded, so now you have like a proof. You will have your travel in Bali. Yeah. I'm pretty sure about that. You can use this podcast.
We want to do like a house visit of everybody. We want to ski in the French Alps with Sophie, and we want to go. One of our designers is in Bali, and then we want to go to my Norwegian cabin and hike. Like we want to do a trip together.
Well, you have 7 years before your next crisis, so it's okay. You can choose several vacations, and then you can move on. Just one comment. It seems from what you say, like you've been taking it very much on the fly, like. It was coming in and then you were building up relationship. It was, I guess that was working quite well and you keep going while new things are coming up, but it's not like, or it doesn't sound like you were really pushing in terms of like trying to find a brand or trying to address a specific needs or trying to be out there, but it was rather some kind of incremental and coming at you. Is it because you find the sweet spot or you find the right, I don't know how to say that, but maybe the sweet spot at the time around tech, around the brand, around helping with the strategy, and maybe the rise also of a new tech ecosystem and the startups where there was very few or not much offering? Or how would you see this from your co-founder perspective in terms of like the growth and how it came along and how you see that for the future? Is it because you were a sweet spot at the right time, at the right place, a bit by coincidence? Or is it because you've been, I guess it's always a bit more complex, but is there other reasons for that?
No, I think on like the mission, on the industry, the main reason we're doing now is there is a strong mission behind it. Like we are really, really passionate about getting more people active and more people outdoors. And one of the main reasons, it's a personal passion from all of our co-founders. We are very outdoorsy, we are very sporty, and we see the benefits of being in nature and being an active person, and we want to have more people doing that. On the other side, I think more than a quarter of the world's population is not like doing enough physical exercise. They're not active enough to stay healthy. So that's one thing. Like I think it's 1.7 billion people they're just not active enough to be healthy. And on the other side, we have digital products and apps that are taking time away from people and making people less active and that have consequences both physically and mentally. So there's an urgent need from the world to get more people moving. So that's like one of our main missions. Like we personally see the benefits of being outdoors and being active, but the world also need more people to be outdoors and be active. And if people are already addicted to their apps and their digital products, why can't we make them be addictive to products that encourage them to move or encourage them to put their phone away and go outdoors and maybe counter steps? Kind of like what Pokemon Go is doing. Kind of like, wouldn't say tricked, but like motivated people to go outdoors and collect augmented reality, but still made the world move without people knowing they're moving. So that's like the main mission, and that's a like pure mission from Noise. On our kind of services, we are super strongly passionate about the importance of strategy and the importance of brand before you go into building an app. We see a lot of founders and early stage startups just going straight into coding. Like in the sport tech world, there's very heavy tech teams, very intelligent founders, software engineers that's building hardware and software products. But sometimes they forget about strategy, they forget about brand, they forget about the importance of visual identity, like emotionally connect with your users. And that's what like we call it advocates for. Like we really think that's super important, and that can give you a very competitive and strategic advantage. And it's also better for the end user to have a better experience. So it's a very strong passion areas, both brand design and UX UI, and also sports and outdoors. We never want to leave this sector or this industry.
And when you're speaking about strategy, like what are the key pillars that you are taking into account when you are like building a strategy for your customers? Like, are you like focused on data? Are you focus on like A/B testing? What are you doing if we need to speak about like a specific project?
Yeah, Sophie is actually one of our strategists, so I'm going to hand this over to
sure.
the one who's sitting with all of the strategies we're doing.
Yeah, I think like at Noise, we don't, like I said earlier, we don't really have like a super hard process or like, you know, a checkbox of things we tick off with every client. It's never the same. So I guess at Noise, the way we approach strategy is always changing depending on the client, their problem, what they actually need, what their business goals might be. So that will change how we approach it. I guess at Noise, like the term strategy we use for the effort, the research, the planning that goes behind the brand, the personality of the brand, the communication. So for us, strategy is all about getting to the bottom of the problem we're actually solving, the user we're solving it for, and the business goals we're trying to achieve. And I think like our role as strategists to help the clients, it's a lot about listening to companies or figuring out what they want in a really down to earth way. So often we're kind of drawing out the personality and the ideas behind a brand that's always sitting there that maybe the client just hasn't quite figured out the words to use for it or the way to express themselves yet. So our kind of job is to draw that out. So yeah, looking at the things that are left unsaid, reading between the lines, and figuring out how to position different businesses and brands, and ultimately putting a strategy together that can help them grow to the next 10 to 20, however many years. So yeah, I guess what we do, it's more of a deep dive. We get like really knee deep into the ins and outs of a brand and its world. We do market research, as you said, test like user testing, lots of conversations with users. We do interviews, brand workshops with like the founders or even kind of people that are employees that are working at the company, depending on its size. I think then only by kind of doing all that research and really kind of getting involved in the brand can we find a meaningful difference that really works for the client and start generating creative solutions. So we would believe like developing that solid strategy at the beginning is where the magic can happen on the creative process afterwards.
For me, I have one, I don't know if it's a comment or questions, but both of you just mentioned a bit like clearly, and especially when you're working with early stage startups, so with limited founders, usually they come from the dev work. I mean, they come from the back end, the technology behind it, and they are usually the one coding and putting the things or the machinery together, but they usually don't know or don't understand or don't see the value in terms of how you position your product, what kind of not brand or how does it resonate? How do you put your value proposition outside to a certain market? How do you define your customer segment? So for this pre-seed or even seed, I would say companies, usually they tend to forget it. And I think, Ida, you referred to it as well. So for you, how is Noise helping out them? Or it seems like you are bringing on this kind of other component in terms of showcasing this value to them or in terms of putting them in the right direction. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, we have. So again, before going into coding, we do think it's important to lay the foundation, and you can do that quite like an essential foundation, or you can go much more deep into it. So we like before coding, we think it's important that you spend some time like looking at your strategy and market position, then doing the brand, then doing the visual identity, and then doing the coding. When we work with limited funding, we do like a more high level workshop. Maybe we spend an hour together with our strategist where they really just like pick the brain and help coming up with some ideas or solutions. Then we go into like essential branding. Like it's very important to have like a good logo and visual identity that stands you apart, that you can roll out to all your social platforms and everything you're doing, and not just doing the app, so that the customer can recognize you again and again. so we do like we try to do this, like keep the same process and keep the same stages, but maybe like minimize them or have them more like really the essentials. And then if the founder or startup get funding, you can always go back and do a revamp or refresh or add to your visual identity, or even like spend more time on the strategy. There's also a lot of stuff you can do upfront. You don't have to go to an agency. You can Google online like strategy workshops or like market positioning or research. So a lot of stuff. Sometimes we just recommend like do this exercise with your team and come back to us. Or we try to like bootstrap kind of the processes we're doing if they they have budget limitations.
I'm sorry to jump in again, Dave.
Go ahead.
And asking too many questions, but what is the most common mistakes you see? I mean, that's really, at La Source, we work with startups as well. We try, and we've been working anyway for the past years with different startups. It's always good and interesting to hear other perspective and how people see the startup ecosystem, the tech ecosystem, and what is the most common, I don't know if it's mistakes, but if we have some entrepreneurs or people either launching or even doing a Series A or Series B, what would be the main advice, or what for you, Ida and Sophie, what are the most common mistakes you see and how you would address them quite quickly?
I think it's the same for like entrepreneurs and startups. I think it's a little bit like spend some time thinking about the strategy and visual identity before you go into coding. You don't have to do a lot, but it's kind of like if you would compare it to another industry, it's kind of like starting to build your house without even drawing it up yourself or like talking to an architect. You don't want to just like start building or like start hammering. So you can either do it yourself, like try to draw a little bit or think about it. And for like small, medium size, we can like brand development and having a brand and having like giving the end user the same experience on all your platforms, and have like a good story and tell that story well. We think it's not the biggest mistake, but like the biggest advantage you can get. So if you're an entrepreneur startup, put some thoughts into strategy and why you're doing it. And if you're a small, medium size, maybe work with an agency or hire in-house someone who's like really passionate about brand and story and how to communicate it. Because we really think that's where there's like I wonder if we're going to come into this a little bit later, but that's where we see the opportunity in sport and outdoors. Like focus more on brand and story, and not just that you have a hardcore coded tech product, because that's super important as well. But it's a whole experience. That was a very long answer to a short question. Soph, do you have anything shorter and more concrete?
Yeah. No, I think what you said about just not really a mistake, but maybe something that is kind of overlooked is really understanding your brand's why. And you see this a lot in branding articles and marketing, marketing experts and LinkedIn and whatever, TED Talks. Yeah, it's all about understanding your why. And I think before you've done that, you can't really progress with a true product or digital experience that is really going to connect with your user and create a really special user experience.
And maybe it's easier to change the mindset with a young company, like maybe like pre-seed or seed company, rather than like already like a bigger company who has like already like set up like everything on a specific mindset internally.
Yeah, or sometimes I think you, Soph, actually have a good example of this. Like sometimes it's, if there's a strong founder in a big company, sometimes you just have to like help the founder to tell the story to the company and get everybody aligned, because you kind of want to go towards the same mission. So sometimes it's also like maybe the story and strategy is already there, but you forgot to tell it to everybody else. So what we do a lot is making brand books, which tells the stories and the values and the missions like very easily, so that the whole company and the whole team will work towards and talk about the same, or talk about the brand in the same way, and on all channels.
It's that thing I think of. Sometimes a founder is so involved in the detail of their brand and what they're doing, or maybe it's their sales goals or the next thing that they're trying to achieve. So what we do at Noise is kind of like zoom out and help the founder kind of take a step back and look at their brand in a more holistic way. I don't really like using that word, but a more holistic view of their brand.
Yeah, definitely. And on top of that, I think you need to speak like with different people in order to like open your mind. And on that topic, I think you have like other stuff to say. You are speaking, or you. I think Aida, you built a new organization in the Nordics too. Can you tell us more, like maybe about like what you build in terms of ecosystem for Nordic startup? And I think you are involved in the UK too. So yeah, I let you the mic on that topic.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Nordic Sport Tech and me being a mentor in London Sport Tech Hub. Nordic Sport Tech is a community for the Nordic Sport Tech entrepreneurs, startups, and companies in the Nordic region. It is today the largest sports tech community we have. It has over 450 members divided on those 5 countries, and that's Finland, Iceland, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. I started Nordic Sport Tech together with my co-founder Jakob Wikenstål. He's based in Sweden. Just because we wanted to like connect everybody in the Nordic Sport Tech scene. I came back from San Francisco, where it was super normal to go to meetups or like group chats or events and just meet founders or other people passionate about like that topic. And I didn't find the same when I came back to the Nordics and wanted to start Noise. So the reason we founded Nordic Sport Tech was to foster, empower, and connect the sport tech scene in these countries and like facilitate conversations and create like some after office meetup kind of events. So that was like the main. That's how we created it back in the days.
And you are involved in Sport Tech London too.
Yeah, in Sport Tech London, I am a mentor, and that's kind of aligned with the overall mission of Noise as well. I think the entrepreneurs and startup who join the Sport Tech Hub in London, they have a mission to get more people active more often. So I hope to be on a good support of entrepreneurs and founders there who are working on like meaningful products and brands. There's a lot of super fun startups in London, getting people out walking more or getting everybody to run in January. So a lot of passionate startup with good missions.
And if I jump back to the Nordic Sport Tech, like what are the main challenge for a Nordic startup? Because when here in France, like when we are like seeing like the market, I think like it's quite close. So Nordic startup are working like closely with other Nordic organization. What are the main challenge for this startup in terms of expansion all around the world, or maybe another topic? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're like super jealous of you guys in France. We feel you have everything as sport tech. You're like one of the biggest sport tech like countries in Europe.
We have a good ecosystem, I guess. Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. But it's always like, hard to learn more about like other ecosystem in another country with another culture,
I think what's interesting with Nordic countries is like we're extremely nationalistic in the sense that we tend to like to work with other companies in the same country. So a lot of the startups and entrepreneurs here have a focus on like national expansion rather than international expansion or national growth. So that's one challenge. Like, how do we get people to think more like internationally? And in the Nordic countries, there's not as many investors, VCs, and funding opportunities. It's a more of like a risk-averse society, so we don't see a lot of like individuals investing in startups. So it's very hard compared to like the California scene or London scene or Spanish or French. It's very hard to get investments, and if you do, you get very little investments, and they often want to see a lot of like upfront coding before they get investment. So it's hard to grow. It's hard to get people to help you to grow. It's a very slow tech scene. We're a little bit behind, I would say, compared to like the big internationals.
Given what you just said, is it part of the Nordic sports tech mandate to go to the public authorities to try to change that in terms of like maybe having either the state or the local municipalities, or I don't know how, I mean, you were referring to London or Paris. I know that the state and even the city itself has been putting a lot of offering, not just financially, of course you have financial offers, but it's more like service provided, a dedicated space, mentors. And then clearly, I mean, Europe compared to the US in terms of liquidity on the market and venture capital, that's nothing comparable, but still, I think London and France and Berlin, or Paris, Berlin, London is quite doing good. But is there a mindset which is being changed? And is it one of the mandates you have in terms of like trying to make public authorities, but other maybe actors being more aware of the opportunities and the need for support there?
Yeah, so we have like 3 main pillars. One of them is just like connecting the scene and just coming back to that. So we created, just to put some more details there, we created one Slack community where we onboarded like everybody in the Nordic sports tech scene so they can connect and they can share resources. Maybe one of them know an investor they can share with another one. So we try to like have a connection on the scene. The second one is we try to put a lot of strong focus outwards on the sport tech and the importance of it. By doing like media articles, we try to promote our community and entrepreneurs, and we go to bigger events, tech events in the Nordics, and we talk about the importance of sport tech. We hold panels and we invite speakers to come and speak about their mission. So just putting light on the scene in general. And the third is that we're trying to do more collaborative projects with other like private organizations or communities. There's 2 big ones in Denmark. And we also talk to the government or public authorities in some of the countries to try to accelerate the growth of Nordic sport tech entrepreneurs and startups. Some of this is like currently in conversation. My co-founder Jakob is conversing with some organizations. And we've been trying earlier as well to put more focus on this and maybe like start an accelerator in the Nordics or like, collaborate with the government. But we are a non-profit volunteer-run community, and working with the government and creating an accelerator is a lot of, it do require a lot of hours. So it goes a little bit slower than we hope, but we really try to like put focus on, do what we can to support the scene.
Yeah, and more globally, no one has a crystal ball, but how do you see the future of sport tech, like in the Nordic and all around the world, like if you need to compare both?
I think for me, I think like all the advancements in wearable tech, we've been working with some really interesting clients and projects at the moment that are doing some really amazing things with fabric and wearable tech. So I think with that and like the kind of intuitive apps, AI, all that kind of thing, that sports tech is only really going to become more seamlessly integrated into our everyday lives. Kind of, we're going to see it. You know, like a few years ago, no one would think that you would wear an Apple Watch that measures your heart rate, you know. So I think these things are just going to become more and more normal to us and more integrated.
Yeah, I think we're seeing there's so much fun innovation, so many cool startups and so much stuff happening in the sport tech scene. And just the last 2-3 years, it's been developing so fast. So I don't know what I'm seeing, but I really hope that the outdoor tech industry can pick up as well. Same speed as like fit tech and sport tech. So hope to see more outdoor. And we also hope to see more products that get people moving, that get people more physical active, and that triggers behavioral change. Right now at Noise, we're working on one application that hopefully is going to get like 36 million Southeast Asians to move more often. And we really think like getting more people to move more often, create happier, healthier, and more active people in general. So maybe that's not what's going to happen, but that's what we really, really hope and will work for.
I had one question around this because you referred that through Noise, but also Sportic, sports, the Nordic sports tech and also the London tech hub you have is like the need to be physically active, have an active lifestyle. And part of Noise is like, we love sports. We do the sports and we're like this. I mean, I've been working for some time at UEFA. One of the key reasons for Sports Federation to exist is actually to increase participation and so the sports. And we were quite a lot discussing since 2019 about phygital. So the link between the physical and the digital space. And for me, I would like to ask you, like, how do you see that? I mean, the convergence between physical and digital and what you were just referring to, is it about nudging? So are you trying to quite in a good way trying to put people in an active lifestyle, and how do you see the role of digital? Because at the end of the day, digital, and you were saying it, is taking us from the outside, is putting us on a couch, or is putting us like being inactive. And it's funny because at the same time, it might be part of the solution to push us back into being active outside. So how do you see that, and how do you see the evolution going forward?
Yeah, this was actually one of my big passion areas. I think, like pre-COVID, I would hold panels around the world, interviewing like inviting 3 speakers to come. One from like a big company, one from outdoor company, and one from a sport company, and then talking about like the importance of digital and sports and what they are doing to make more people active through their application or through esports. Because it's a very interesting topic. But it can be everything from, again, the classical example of Pokemon Go, getting kids to download an application and go out and play. But then, go out and play, but then they're actually moving and they're being active. There's one guy up in Sweden, it's called Just Football. He's doing the same. He's kind of like merging the digital and the physical world. So a kid creates a player on Just Football, where he gets like points and his profile advances. But he have to go out and play in real life to get more points and become a better player. And then when he becomes a better player, he can go back into the app and play on other teams. So it's like a mix of how can they do the digital play, but add some physical. Other stuff is there's some guys down in Australia who have, I forgot the name of their platform, but they have a kind of an Airbnb for extreme sport equipment. So like extreme sport is a super high investment industry. Like if I want to start kite surfing, it's 2,000 euros. Not everybody can start kite surfing. So they started like a sharing platform of extreme sport gear, or like also a gear rental that you can just go and you can get like a subscription card, kind of what you get to libraries, and go and just rent the gear. So you have more access to outdoors and extreme sports. That's a way of using digital to get more people into nature and into sports. So either you can do it like on an app basis, triggering people to be more active through gamified elements or digital motivations, or you can just like facilitate how easy it is to get to the sports, or how easy it is to get the gear to do the sport. There's a lot of different applications that can go on forever. you probably don't want to.
That's super
great.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And we can see like how the market is moving to. Definitely we can see like plenty of new opportunities to make people move again.
Yeah, so much fun can happen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we never want to leave this space. It's just advancing and getting better. But yeah.
Ida, Sophie, like just before to maybe like finish this podcast, like do you want to add something? Like do you have like something to share with us to finish?
So
you can like speak about like your next travel, or like just like you know like you started like to speak about traveling and doing like great stuff. So like I think everyone was like dreaming right now.
Oh yeah, I'm dreaming of vacation. I'm going to take my first vacation in 3 years. But I'm hiking 220 kilometers in Sweden without Wi-Fi. That's my next dream. Giving all my work to Sophie.
Nice.
For 2 weeks. What are you dreaming of, Sophie?
Yeah, I guess I'm just looking forward to summer in the Alps, to be honest. Hiking, mountain biking. I broke my back actually last summer, so I'm looking forward to getting back into the sport.
Using it again
this summer. Yeah.
All right, cool. JB, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I think I have a key takeaway from this podcast. It's really like I think we need to rethink our cultural way of doing things at La Source. I mean, we're very much onto the remote. We are 100% remote ourselves at the moment, but I like the kind of outdoor sport culture that you have, and it doesn't seem to be a problem to be in 25 different or working with 25 different locations and being anywhere. So I think that's quite inspiring as well to see in terms of like bridging the passion and the daily work and what you're putting in terms of culture within Noise. So that's really refreshing from my standpoint.
Yeah, I can actually add one thing there that we've been talking about a lot. Like we think it's just since we're in the sport and outdoors, we think it's super important that you understand the sport and outdoors. Like, it's very hard to design a ski product if you never skied, or like design, like you would probably go to maybe a Berlin agency if you want to design like some, what do you call it, hipster coffee brand. But if you want to really do like an outdoor avalanche app or do something for football, it's important to understand the passion and have tried the sport. Maybe you don't have to have tried all the sports, but it's hard to design skiing and surfing if you never tried a wave. So that's why we think it's important to be remote, so we can do the sport if we're going to design the sport. And it's working so far.
It.
Yeah, you should try.
I think that's perfect conclusion. Like we have nothing more to say. Like that's perfect. And thanks a lot, Aida. Thanks a lot, Sophie, for your time today.
Thank you guys for the laugh.
Thank you all for listening to us. Hope you enjoyed this talk. And see you soon for a new episode. Bye, Sophie.
Ciao.
Thanks.
Le corner.